Hello everyone, it's great to have your company as we explore understanding dyspraxia. Welcome to this Adult Dyslexia Centre bite-sized session. My name is Donna Stevenson and I'm a trustee here at the ADC. It's great to have your company for what I hope is going to be a really useful session exploring some of the key issues about this often misunderstood neurodifference dyspraxia. Please keep in touch with us. I've popped on here our helpline details, and if you see right at the bottom of this slide, there is also the ADC website address. You are not on your own. Please reach out and find your community. We are here ready to support. Okay, so let's get into this quick session to hopefully give you an overview, as I say, about a neurodifference that often a lot of us don't understand or don't know much about. So dyspraxia is sometimes also called developmental coordination disorder or DCD. Okay, but for the purposes of today, I'm going to use the title dyspraxia, and to be fair, that's possibly the label that most of us use really here in the UK. Okay, so let's get started then. So what actually is dyspraxia? As I said, it's also known as DCD, developmental coordination disorder. It's going to be lifelong in its effects, and it's a neurodevelopmental condition. Okay. It's got many characteristics of which we're going to go through in this bite-sized session with you. But I think for a lot of us who don't know the detail, if you like, about dyspraxia, the area that we mostly think about this neurodifference is in terms of coordination, movement, fine and gross motor skills. So the physicality, if you like, about this neurodifference. But that's not to negate there's other parts of the story around this difference that often get forgotten about, sadly. So here we've got planning, organisation, time management, executive functioning. So it's not just about the physicality of this neurodifference with the motor skills and the coordination and so on. There are also kind of our thinking skills, how our brain works, the executive functioning part of what it means to live with dyspraxia. As it says here, dyspraxia affects how the brain processes and plans movement, and it is not in any way related to intelligence. And indeed, we see that issue kind of as thread its way through all the neurodifferences. They are independent of somebody's ability and intelligence, of course they are, but I think it's possibly worth reminding us sometimes. What are the statistics then? So when we think about our children, but this is an issue that can also impact adults, we guesstimate that it's about between 5 and 6% of our population who are thought to live with dyspraxia. Okay, interestingly, it's still more commonly identified in boys, but though sadly many girls, females are still under-identified. And again, this is often a pattern we are still seeing across all the neurodifferences. When we speak to the experts about where we're at with identification, they will say that in their opinions, it is equal. There is no reason, no biological reason certainly why we've got this discrepancy between our male and female population, but it's more what I always talk about as sociological reasons. There's kind of gender bias, and let's call it out, it's sexism actually, in terms of why females are often underrepresented in the statistics around a neurodifference like dyspraxia. Okay, so interesting thoughts that we are having now about some of these gender divides. We've also got this idea that it continues into adulthood, and of course it does. Again, it's going to be lifelong in its effects. For a lot of the dyspraxic community, though, sadly, many folks remain unidentified until much later in life. And again, a similar pattern across differences like ADHD and so on, where up to this point we haven't always been great at identification. We haven't totally understood what the neurodifference has meant to us. And we're on catch up now in terms of identifying, and dyspraxia is no different to some of those patterns that we see. So what are the characteristics then? It may manifest with challenges with somebody's coordination, their balance, their gross motor skills, and fine motor skills. And as I said a little bit earlier, that's often the area that we think about dyspraxia mostly being impactful. And for sure, it definitely is for those folks who live with this neurodifference, but it impacts in other areas as well that maybe we haven't always been great at acknowledging. We've definitely got handwriting in the mix here as well, and I would broaden that out into keyboard skills as well. As you can imagine, that's kind of our fine motor skills, isn't it? The hand-eye coordination, holding of a pen or a pencil, and so on. So for sure, we will often see that there's handwriting issues there, and of course the keyboard skills. We've got somebody who may find it challenging to learn new motor skills. So let's think about riding a bike, maybe. So we would normally expect children from about 7 years and above. That tends to be around the average age a child will learn to ride a two-wheel bicycle. It can be really tricky for our dyspraxic community, and indeed maybe they will never learn how to ride a bike in that way. As you'd imagine, it's quite a sophisticated physical skill. It requires balance and coordination and so on, areas that dyspraxics can find challenging. We've also got, and again, this is an area that we don't always think about, challenges around verbal language. Okay, so the idea's there, the person understands the words, but as they go to verbalize, for some dyspraxics, they will talk about tripping over words, finding it difficult to pronounce words correctly and so on. So again, maybe a lesser known issue around dyspraxia, but one that's there nevertheless. We've got forgetfulness, so we've got memory issues, difficulty planning tasks. So again, if somebody's going on holiday, and this is something someone said to me a little while ago, the planning it requires to pack what you need and sort out currency and get to the airport on time, all those different lots and lots of micro steps that it takes to get to your holiday destination. For a dyspraxic, that can often be a really tricky and overwhelming process. We've also got managing time. Okay, so being able to estimate how long a task is going to take, meeting deadlines and so on. And here we have following multi-step instructions. So that's a bit like that planning journey, isn't it? But maybe this is more about instructions. So if a teacher may be saying to a child, right, can you do this, 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 and then I want you to do that, and then come and sit back down on the carpet, the child is really lost. Maybe he's only remembering the first step instruction, that first step on that kind of 4 or 5 kind of mini things that the teacher's asking them to do. So it's that kind of processing and memory issues and kind of sequencing as well that may be an area of challenge. What we often find for our dyspraxics as part of their lived experience then, if some of those issues are happening and have done for quite some time, confidence and self-esteem can be impacted. People will often talk about feeling levels of anxiety around maybe certain tasks, levels of frustration, of course, and social isolation as well. Now, this is not the monopoly of the dyspraxic community, but I think when we're thinking about this neurodifference, we can possibly all figure out why children and adults may feel in this way if those issues are happening to them as they navigate through the world. So what do those life stages look like then? This is not an exhaustive list, everyone. We've kind of wanted to share very quickly with you some of the headlines, if you like, in terms of what can happen in childhood, teen years and into adulthood around this neurodifference. So in our children, we will often see a delayed developmental milestone, especially around motor skills. So for example, delayed level of learning how to walk, run, skip, hop, the developmental milestones that we have around physicality, holding a pen, using cutlery, getting dressed, challenges maybe in PE. So this is often the first areas that we will see dyspraxia manifest. It will be on those physical areas, okay? The pattern will continue through somebody's life. So in the teen years, we then start to see as the individual ages and the demands on them becomes a bit more sophisticated, we start to see maybe organizational challenges manifest themselves, stress around academia, revising and so on. Sitting those exams, we're in exam season as I record this, so these are very stressful times, and for neurodivergent young people, yeah, incredibly stressful. Social confidence issues, and again in those teen years that can be really sensitive time as kids want to fit in and be accepted by their peer groups. Often we will see dyspraxic kids feel out of step, doubting themselves, confidence issues, self-esteem, which again carries on into adulthood. We've got lots of adults talking about that stuff in regard to their journey with dyspraxia, but we've also got then organizational challenges at work, even driving difficulties. So maybe somebody has learned how to drive, which can be a struggle for dyspraxics, but maybe they doubt themselves, or some of their skills they feel are not as they should be in terms of those driving difficulties, managing daily routines and so on. Okay, so we've got a kind of a continuing thread through somebody's life. The patterns remain, but of course, how those challenges may manifest themselves is slightly different sometimes because, of course, we've become more sophisticated and there's more demands and changes in the ways that we live on us and kind of in the world of work and our personal lives and so on. As adults, we've got a very nuanced way that we live, of course we do. And so dyspraxia can interplay in different ways. Let's not forget the strengths though. I think sometimes when we look at lists like the one I've just shown where we're looking at the areas of challenge, for sure we need to do that because it's about making sure that we are aware of it and able to put things in support and assist in those ways. We can sometimes forget that there's lots of great strengths that go with an aura difference, like dyspraxia. We have then creativity, and for sure, this can be expressed through the arts. We've got a lot of artistic community, whether it's drawing and painting and so on, through to dance, drama. We've got a lot of creatives who have dyspraxia, which is wonderful. But we also need to remember that creativity is not just the monopoly of the arts. So we know that creativity is a state of mind. Albert Einstein said that, who was neurodivergent himself. And so it's how we approach situations, how we live our lives in a very creative way, isn't it? Whether it's in our professional lives or maybe our personal lives as well. And so those are to be celebrated and valued and cherished. I think certainly in this day and age with AI and so on, all the debates that we're having, understanding that creativity is something very unique to us as human beings, and it's something to be cherished. And here we see the dyspraxic community will often say, hey, we are really creative, which is a great gift and talent to have. Problem solving, another great gift and talent to have, being able to think of solutions that maybe nobody else are able to think about or come up with the one idea that was the perfect fit. We've got this community talking about being very determined. And sometimes when we go deeper to that, they will say it's because in life I always have to go above and beyond if I want to achieve. So I've almost developed that as a muscle, determination muscle. Others will say, I don't know where it comes from. It's just me. I'm just super determined. I never give up. Great to have wherever it's come to you. It's a really valuable strength, as is empathy. So again, this comes from that lived experience, the community talking about being good with people. They care, having that empathy. We've got somebody who is an innovator, so maybe a thought leader, and a big picture thinker as well. So thinking outside the box, coming up with all those great ideas. Again, maybe it's linked to problem solving as well. So it's different ways that these thought processes can happen. Now, this is not an exhaustive list. So if you are listening to this and you know dyspraxics in your life, or you're dyspraxic yourself and you think, well, actually, I'm really good at whatever that is, and it's not on that list, celebrate it, embrace it. That's you, and it's a great way to think about neurodifferences now. We're not just hyper focusing on those areas of challenge. It is important, but it's about getting the balance right. So, how may dyspraxia impact on education? I'm hoping that everything I've shared so far, you're kind of figuring this one out almost for yourself. Yes, it's going to be handwriting. That may impact on note taking for our older individuals, PE, practical activities. We've also got organisation, so homework, busy school diaries, and so on. Exam prep, revision, juggling all those different exam timetables and so on and so forth. Helpful adjustments can be maybe typing information instead of handwriting, having some extra time in an exam. Visual schedule, maybe we're going to put something on the fridge with visuals for our kids who are going on that journey at the moment. Clear instructions, so that's step by step, and maybe using assistive technology as well, which is getting better and better in terms of how it can support, from great to-do lists through to concentration aids, through to things that will help us to plan, to remember, and through to literacy and number aids as well. So there's a lot out there, and of course AI as well, with Copilot, ChatGPT. How will we see it impact on employment then? Again, it's possibly not a surprise what I'm going to share if you've been kind of following the thread through. It continues managing deadlines, prioritization, taking notes in a meeting, navigating a busy environment. Effective workplace adjustments then might be having written instructions, task management software, flexible working arrangements. We talk a lot these days, don't we, about hybrid working, structured routines, maybe additional training time if you're being onboarded into a job and you know that your dyspraxia is going to maybe get in the way of remembering information, and you just need that bit of extra time for you to process it and understand it and remember it. So lots of adjustments that we can put in place. Okay, which brings me then to the end of the session. I hope you've enjoyed it. This was a very quick overview on dyspraxia. We talk a lot these days about finding your community and remembering that you are not on your own. So if this session has resonated with you and you want to find out more about dyspraxia, maybe you suspect you yourself or somebody in your family, one of your children may have dyspraxia, please reach out to us. We are here to provide free, very wise support and guidance. So the helpline address is here, also the phone number, and also I've popped on our website address as well. We've got a great YouTube channel with lots of free resources as well. And if you've liked this video, there's lots of other videos around where we're talking about other neurodifferences and what may work and make a difference for us all. Okay, so please remember that you are not on your own, and please do keep in touch. So thank you for your time, and we hope to hear from you again, and we hope you enjoyed this, and goodbye everyone.